Coming up, 30 volunteers in Penang expedite their efforts to ready components for prefab homes for flood victims. Tzu Chi recycling volunteers in Taiwan receive reinforcements from their family in dealing with recyclables from Chinese New Year. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Dennis Wu. Thank you for joining us. Kicking off today's program in Malaysia. Although 2 months have passed since the east coast of the Malaysian peninsula was struck by the worst flooding in 30 years, many residents in Kelantan are still living in tents. As city volunteers cannot bear to see flood survivors living in such hardship, they decided to provide survivors with prefabricated homes. In Penang, 30 volunteers from the Tzu Chi Malaysia chapter are working hard to ready the components of the prefabs so the assembly of the homes can progress smoothly. Let's now take a look.
At the construction site, Tzu Chi volunteers work around the clock to help ready the components to prefabricated homes so that flood victims will have a safe place to call home as soon as possible.
We're using screws to make sure the prefabricated homes are strong enough. We can reuse and recycle all the materials once their permanent houses are completed.
In the severe flooding of last December, many residents lost their homes. Even now, many of them are still living in tents.
When we conducted a relief effort in Kelantan, we saw that many victims are still living in tents. Hence, we need to speed up the construction of the prefab homes.
Initially, volunteers planned to deliver prefabricated parts from Taiwan. Unfortunately, the shipping company was not able to ship the materials due to Lunar New Year. Thus, local volunteers had to start everything from scratch. To finish the 336 prefabricated houses on time, 30 volunteers worked 8 hours a day to speed up the process.
By giving, we can enrich our lives and make the most out of them. We have been coming here for the past 4 days to offer our assistance.
Through hard work and determination, the volunteers have become more familiar with the assembling process and hope to be able to finish at least 3 prefabs every 2 days.
Staying in Malaysia with another report on flood relief. Tzu Chi volunteers from Penang have been caring for those whose lives have been uprooted by the December floods. Although the volunteers' visits were brief, their loving kindness remained in the residents' hearts. Recently, volunteers returned to Kelantan once again to see how the flood survivors have been doing since returning home after the floodwaters receded.
The first time Tzu Chi volunteers met Rosaima was at a temporary shelter. At the time, the girl wore a worried frown, but the volunteers' care eventually lit Rosaima's face up with a smile.
I feel like I have gotten my fight back. Everything that we have been through, we see it as a trial brought by God to test and strengthen our faith.
Today, volunteers paid Rosaima's family a visit to see how they have been doing since returning home after the floods. Even though most of their clothes and furniture are still waterlogged, the family put on their best clothing to welcome their guests. Seeing the state of Rosaima's home following the floods, volunteers finally understand the burden that she has been carrying. As Rosaima's elder and younger sister are both disabled, the job of looking after her family also rests on her shoulders.
Most of my certificates were ruined. These are just some which were not washed away by the floods.
Despite these setbacks, Rosaima is not giving up and continues to move forward one step at a time.
The teddy bear was given to me by my varsity friend.
Giving the volunteers a warm embrace, it is this love that will carry Rosaima through these difficult days.
Although life presents us with all kinds of trials and challenges, however, we will never lose our courage and faith. Thank you all.
Next to China, we travel to Anshun, Guizhou province to see how the Tzu Chi Foundation from Taiwan and the local government have joined hands to bring quality education to children by building the Xihua Tzu Chi Elementary School.
Driving through Anshan City, Guizhou Province, one can see construction everywhere. To improve the city's economic prosperity, the local government started building factories, which have attracted many to settle here with their families. However, the increase in population has also brought a serious problem. At the old location of the Xihua Elementary School, students and faculty have to borrow washrooms and kitchens from residents living nearby.
You can't really call this place a school. The classrooms don't have sufficient amount of light for students to study, and the surroundings are often damp. Our students don't have a place to go to during break time either.
Each student has less than 1 square meter of space for themselves.
To solve this problem, the local government decided to build a new campus for the Xihua Elementary School. However, without enough funding, the project was put on hold until Tzu Chi reached out with a helping hand. On September 2014, students and faculty finally moved into their new school. The new Xihua Tzu Chi Elementary School can hold up to 18 classes for a total of 900 students. Currently, 10 classes are already in session with 434 students attending. Furthermore, the school is also equipped with a music room, a dance room, and even a science lab.
Now we have space to play different kinds of sport, such as badminton, ping pong, and basketball during lunch break.
The new classrooms are so big compared to before. The tables and chairs are different too. Before, we couldn't write properly because the tables all have holes in them.
On January 2015, the Xihua Tzu Chi Elementary School organized an inauguration ceremony which saw the participation of Tzu Chi volunteers.
I hope the love from Taiwan can continue to spread far and wide on campus and to all the children here.
Tzu Chi volunteers hope these seeds of compassion in the children's hearts will one day blossom. Staff members at the school also decorated the campus with Jiangxi aphorisms to encourage students to think good thoughts.
We hope Tzu Chi's spirit can inspire our students to change for the better and become citizens who can benefit society. We also want to encourage them to be grateful and help the less fortunate.
At this bulletin board, children expressed their gratitude and love for the Buddhist NGO by posting their handwritten thank you letters and drawings. With Tzu Chi's love and support, these children can now grow up healthy and happy.
Despite the global slowdown of the past few years, Kunshan City remains one of the economic pearls of China's Yangtze River Delta, with more than $10 billion passing through the city annually in the way of foreign investments. The influx of such capital has brought prosperity to the citizens of Kunshan, yet also problems in the form of a rapidly growing immigrant population and garbage. And in an effort to change the city's landscape, Tzu Chi volunteers have been visiting the city schools to help teach the next generation on the importance of recycling and conservation. Here's more. Kunshan, a county-level city in Suzhou, lies among China's heavily industrialized Yangtze River Delta. Here in Kunshan, 65 countries have invested a total of $30 billion into manufacturing. Thanks to such high rates of investment and return, for 9 consecutive years, Kunshan has been at the top of China's 100 most competitive counties list. However, although the economy skyrocketed, other aspects of city life were neglected.
四海祥云降福来，新年好礼送不停。节日到，礼品到。奶和草莓8块一碗，1碗8块。再看别人再10块，
快件太差了，太乱了。太乱了。对，你看乱不乱？
A lot of immigrant workers live in this area. Where people live, they need a place to eat and spend money. You can expect the roads to be clean if vendors are doing business here. If there's no food stalls here, then who will want to live here?
你看乌烟瘴气的，每天搞得这样。我是想人间好的环境嘛，住了也舒服人。现在没办法。
On the heels of Queensland's economic development has come a series of garbage problems, further exacerbated by the lack of environmental awareness in the majority of its citizens. Tzu Chi volunteers know, however, that education is a key to addressing this problem.
我的名字叫做郭立成，这个郭立成就是我们每天要喝的那个。为什么把我们通通叠在一起了？好挤哦，好挤哦！
Humanizing PET bottles in homemade teaching videos, Queensland Tzu Chi volunteers hope to get children to learn from an early age the importance of recycling.
哎，小朋友有环保杯的小朋友请举手。看来你们都有环保杯是不是呀？是。你们出门的时候都是自己带环保杯，不随便买玻璃成是吗？是。垃圾变黄金起来。
Through countless workshops like this, volunteers are targeting these children who are Queensland's future.
伸出我们的双手，爱护我们的地球。
今天上的郭立成这个课，他就会非常喜欢。
The children really like today's class on Guo Lichen. The key is using the things that are normally part of their world to slowly allow them to discover what they need to do on behalf of the earth.
I think the children here today have learned to avoid acting in a way that would be environmentally unfriendly.
我是要换牙了，是吗？所以更要注意不能喝玻璃成。我就喝一点点。下次我们做的不喝。
To further spread its recycling message, in June 2013, the Tzu Chi Foundation opened up its first recycling education station in Queensland. Here, volunteers not only come to recycle, but have set up courses to teach residents the rudiments of recycling and environmentalism.
We often say that garbage is simply a resource that was put in the wrong place. When we divide that garbage into its correct categories, it suddenly becomes a resource. On the other hand, if we fail to do so, then it remains garbage that goes on to negatively impact our environment.
Volunteers hope that through such efforts, the urban landscape of Queensland will one day come to match the brilliance of its economic development. Families throughout Taiwan always do a thorough spring cleaning prior to the Chinese New Year. Around this time, Tzu Chi's recycling stations across the country also see a significant increase in the amount of recyclables. In Taichung, to deal with the mountains of extra recyclables, a group of devoted volunteers have come together to put in extra time before the new year.
这个礼拜六混完以后，一直回收再有。
In just 2 days, the recycling station is once again filled with mountains of recyclables. Before volunteers have had the opportunity to sort it all, another truck carrying more items pulls in.
Everyone is spring cleaning at home, but there's a lot to do here, so I came to help out.
这边比较大。
Some volunteers temporarily set aside their jobs at home to tend to the large volume of recyclables before the new year.
We have to go back out again because we need to get to the other recycling points.
Teaming up with volunteer Zhang Tingmao is his daughter Zhang Meifeng, who came straight to the recycling station after work.
The recycling station is always filled with so many recyclables before the Chinese New Year. It is really shocking. I thought I would come and help my dad out. Otherwise, he would never manage all of this on his own.
Knowing what a responsible person her father is, Zhang Meifeng decided to help him.
She came here willingly. She got a hang of it after I told her what to do. If I forced her to come, she wouldn't be happy doing it.
What better way to celebrate the eve of Chinese New Year by doing something meaningful and working on behalf of our planet Earth?
Are you still struggling to make a perfect vegetarian dish for Chinese New Year? In our next report, Dr. Lin Jingxing of Da林Tzu Chi Hospital in Taiwan will teach our viewers how to make delicious Burmese vegetarian red curry. Here's more.
Are vegetarians limited to only stir-fried or boiled vegetables? Dr. Lin Jingxing from Dalin Tzu Chi Hospital is going to cook up an authentic Myanmar New Year's dish, spicy stir-fried vegetables. First, slice and boil all the ingredients and then set them aside. Next, fry the ginger before putting in the remaining ingredients. Lastly, Thai hot sauce, salt, and sugar are added for flavor.
Before adding in the hot sauce, please make sure to turn the stove to low heat. Otherwise, it will burn easily, leaving a bitter taste. Now we can add hot pepper into the wok. Cook and stir until it cooks thoroughly. Then turn off the heat.
To prepare for the vegetarian red curry, veggie ham needs to be deep-fried first before adding other ingredients such as coconut milk, evaporated milk, and red curry sauce. The secret of making this delicious dish is to simmer the sauce at low heat.
If you cook it on high heat, the coconut milk will burn and taste bad, so we usually simmer at low heat. The dish is cooked until we smell the aroma of the sauce, and then add the remaining vegetables.
After the sauce is done, you can add the vegetables of your choice. Starchy vegetables and legumes are commonly used for better taste. For the final step, we add pre-fried veggie ham to the mix.
And this is our traditional dish from Myanmar. We wish everyone Happy Lunar New Year. In our next report, we travel to Indonesia to meet Tzu Chi volunteer Yang Meirong. In 2002, Yang came across the Buddhist NGO after learning about Tzu Chi's program to clean up the Anke River. After joining the organization, Yang was invited to become a Chinese teacher and a DaAi mother at the Tzu Chi Great Love School. Despite obstacles along the way, Yang eventually conquered all problems thanks to the support and love of her family members and fellow volunteers.
Although coming from a business background, Yang Meirong still bravely shoulders the responsibility of teaching Chinese at the Tzu Chi Great Love School.
One of the most interesting experiences I encountered in the past was that students didn't want to listen to me. There were 30 students and all of them talked louder than me. Back then I had to use a microphone, but I still often went home with a sore throat. After a year or so, I realized that I need to make them want to listen to the lecture instead of thinking ways to make my voice louder.
Yang Meirong's affinity with Tzu Chi started in 2002 when the Buddhist NGO launched a project to clean up the Anke River. After becoming a DaAi mother, Yang has formed many good relationships with like-minded individuals.
We work well as a team and always support each other through thick and thin. Meirong and I eat together all the time and dedicate ourselves to promoting character education in school.
Yang says the smiles of the children have motivated her to remain steadfast on her path as a teacher. Furthermore, the support of her family members and counterparts has also given her the courage to shoulder even more responsibility.
Now back to China. Since stepping into Yichun, Jiangxi province in 1996, Tzu Chi volunteers have helped build the Baizu Elementary School and offer scholarship for students in need so they may continue with their education. Now ahead of the Lunar New Year, volunteers have returned once again, and among them were many former scholarship recipients.
Traveling by car and then boats, Tzu Chi volunteers climb mountains and cross rivers to bring assistance to Baizu Elementary School in Yichun, Jiangxi. Year after year, for more than a decade, students have studied confidently in these classrooms built with love. To bring in the new year, volunteers prepare relief supplies and carry out home visitations. Thanks to Tzu Chi's love and care, hope has returned here. As Tzu Chi's missions expanded through scholarship programs, many former aid recipients have returned to reciprocate.
At that time, Tzu Chi brought comforters and stationery for my sister and I, as we were in need of assistance. That was the first time that I heard about Tzu Chi.
Yichun, now works in Hong Kong, still remembering the love in his heart. He now follows after the volunteers.
Every time I come back here, I make it a point to help disadvantaged children, no matter who they are. Children in my hometown, Yichun, or those in my workplace.
At the year-end blessing ceremony, volunteers promote filial piety through video footage and skits.
How can one help another? Just follow the Tzu Chi way, help others wholeheartedly.
The master helps old and new without distinction. You just need to take action.
Inspiring compassion in others, together everyone looks forward to a blissful spring.
Next to the continent of Africa, situated on a highland plateau surrounded by South Africa, the landlocked Lesotho is also known as the Kingdom in the Sky. In 2014, the country was blessed with abundant rains and bumper harvests. Thus, to give thanks for the blessings of the past year and pray for a prosperous year ahead, Tzu Chi volunteers hosted a New Year's celebration that was joined by 400 community residents.
The sunny blue skies and the stretch of green grasslands, this is the landlocked kingdom of Lesotho. In the heat of the day, 400 local residents from 3 communities have gathered to attend Tzu Chi's New Year celebration outdoors. Children put on a lively and free-spirited dance performance to welcome the Tzu Chi volunteers. In return, volunteers offer them Tzu Chi's wisdom and blessing red envelopes. The head of Lita Baneng village says he hopes his fellow villagers may one day give back to society just like the volunteers.
Thank you, Master Zheng Yan, for sending your volunteers to help our community. I also hope that our villagers may take after the volunteers and one day make a difference in our communities.
Volunteers extend their well wishes to participants and encourage all to cultivate goodness in their hearts for the betterment of society.
Today is the first day of the Year of the Goat, as Taiwanese celebrate the Lunar New Year by reuniting with their family. Those that work in emergency services, such as hospitals, remain at their post. To thank the dedication of those working at the Darin Tzu Chi Hospital, its Superintendent Lin Jingxing dressed up as the God of Wealth to deliver blessings across the hospital. We leave you with these images. Happy New Year!